What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. This is episode 136. And today we have a great guest all the way from North Dakota State University, All-American, Jared Franek. Jared, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course, of course. So we just first, us as an organization want to say congratulations to you and congratulations to your team. I mean, two All-Americans this year. North Dakota State's making a move.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a good year. Long time coming for us. I think it was the first All-American since like 2015. So we've been building towards this, and it was pretty exciting to end with a couple of them.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, definitely good to see. Um, let's just jump right into it. You're kind of a hometown boy.
Hmm.
Obviously you had some crazy success in high school, which we'll get into in a little bit, but what kind of made you make that decision? Because earlier today we talked to Andrew Ramirez, who also, was from Colorado and stayed in Colorado. So what was that decision like for you to kind of stay local?
Yeah, for sure. I was able to, get to know the coaches and some of the guys pretty early on in my high school career, and I really liked what they were doing there. And also, I mean, it's like 10 minutes from my house I grew up in, so I was able to train with them a little bit in their RTC stuff early on, and just great guys. The coaches they're straight up with everything, and there wasn't any um, stuff that was kind of hidden from me. So I really like that. And then, yeah, just being able to have my parents and, the friends, supporters, old teammates, parents, all that kind of stuff, have them be able to come watch me and just be 10 minutes away, all call my college career. Just having that close support system was pretty important for me. So I felt like staying home also kind of gave them an opportunity to keep cheering me on and be there for me. So
Yeah, and just touch a little bit. What was that support like, having that support all the way through high school and now all the way to college? I'm sure there's a lot of people that have followed you, from the start until now. So, what's that like having that hometown crowd, at North Dakota State with you, during a big duel?
yeah, it's awesome. It's super special because, like you said, I mean, not there's very few kids that are able to stay or even get the chance to stay where they kind of grew up and go to college and have success. So, um, yeah, I'm pretty fortunate, and I I'm very very thankful for that opportunity.
Yeah, and let's kick it off with the start from kind of where it began. What kind of got you into the sport and, what was that like, wrestling through high school?
Yeah, high school was fun. I had a good team. I was pretty fortunate with good coaches and a successful team early on. So, my seventh grade year, I was the backup. Um, my first year at 106, and actually in our state, you can bring three alternates to state um, that aren't part of your 14 starting lineup. So I earned one of those spots and ended up placing fourth that year. So it was pretty exciting for I just broke 100 pounds on the third day of weigh-ins at state, so I was a little undersized, but yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then eighth grade, I I was 106 again, ended up taking second at state, and then freshman year on, I won state and kind of shot up, continually grew. So I mean, freshman year, I think I was 120, and then 138, 152, 160. So yeah, it was a good experience. Yeah,
Yeah, not a lot of people can say that they're a six-time placer. Yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of crazy. I
yeah.
didn't I
It's
didn't know that.
uh, pretty cool opportunity we have here to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard of anybody bring like of any states bringing alternates. So that's kind of interesting that you could bring some extra guys to state to get that experience.
Hmm.
So obviously, like you said, four-time state champ. North Dakota, especially where you're from, is home to obviously one of the most, coveted wrestling tournaments, in pretty much all of wrestling, and that's Fargo. So talk a little
Mhm.
bit about, what it was like not having to travel too far to wrestle at Fargo and, what's that like, being right there where that tournament's held.
Yeah, it was awesome growing up because, I mean, our state would we'd have our camp in Bismarck, which is about 3 hours from here, and I go stay at teammates and friends' houses in Bismarck for that training camp, and then I'd be able to host some of those same kids at my house for the tournament. So being able to sleep in my own bed and just train where I'm familiar with was pretty cool. I was able to once I committed to NDSU, I was able to like use their room, during the tournament and things like that. And yeah, there was a little bit of hometown advantage, you could say, but it was pretty cool having that tournament in my backyard.
Yeah, definitely. And how did you perform at a tournament like Fargo? What was that? What was wrestling in that tournament like for you?
Yeah, so I wrestled in it 4 years, and I think I took seventh my first year in cadets, and then I won cadet freestyle my second year, and then I was a runner up my 2 years as a junior in freestyle. So yeah, I had pretty good success in that tournament, and it was pretty cool to be able to do um, to be able to celebrate those successes with just the team North Dakota, the guys you kind of compete against throughout the year. You're kind of the best of the best come together and compete as a state. So that's pretty fun. And then just having the tournament in the dome kind of was able to scale it down for me, not make it such a big deal, just because I've been in that dome many times wrestling in my life. So I think that also helped me have some success there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's always good. I'm sure, this year at Nationals, a lot of those guys from Oklahoma and Oklahoma State probably felt like they were, right at home, just that little bit of that edge there. Um, I mean, so you kind of knew, right off the bat after high school, that's you wanted to go to North Dakota State. Was that like your main option, or I'm sure there was other options for you.
Yeah, I mean they were probably always my main option, but I definitely went through the recruiting process and talked to a few other D1 local area schools, and then you know called a few coaches from different schools as well, just to kind of get out there and see what was best. Yeah, I definitely went through the process a little bit, but North Dakota State towards the end was the clear front runner, and I'm glad I picked it. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and getting into obviously your career at North Dakota State. I mean, you take a red shirt like pretty much a normal 18-year-old kid coming into college, and you had pretty good success. You went 10-2 your first year. Talk a little bit about some of those tribes and tribulations you faced that first year wrestling against college guys.
Yeah, it definitely was a year I needed to redshirt. I'm very glad I did, just because I ran into some injuries early on, and I didn't get to compete till the second semester. So um, being able to transition to that, just kind of the workload of workouts that you go through, and then um, transitioning your what you learn in the room to the mat does take a while. So I definitely was someone who needed that redshirt year, and yeah, I won quite a few matches, but Um, it was a lot of like local tournaments, and not every kid was a Division 1 kid. And honestly, at the Division 1 tournament I went to, I went like 2-2. So it wasn't for me a very good year, and I was kind of not upset with it, but I knew that I had a lot of work to do still if I wanted to be successful that next year. So yeah, definitely a learning curve, but had to go through it.
Yeah, and definitely, and I mean, it definitely kind of paid off. You end up taking third at Big 12s, and then because of that, get the automatic bid to NCAA's. So what was that like for you? At that point as a redshirt freshman, walking into NCAA's and walking into the Big 12 tournament. What was that like? Kind of like a I've made it moment for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I was someone who went with my dad and some of our friends um, to the national tournament as fans. So I had seen, how crazy it is, and I've been on the other side of things watching. and knew that is a pretty big deal, and it was a goal of mine since I was a young kid. So having that opportunity was pretty awesome, and yeah, yeah, first year getting third in that Big 12 group was pretty cool. Um, Pretty loaded group, and um, yeah, unfortunately we got canceled, never got the rest of that national tournament that my first year qualifying, but um, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'm sure it was, a moment for you that, obviously was exciting and then kind of, obviously I think everybody in the wrestling world at that point kind of just was a little bit taken back. But, next year you come back even better. You end up getting the second place draw at Big 12s and another automatic bid. So, this obviously, this year the tournament, was guaranteed to happen for you. And what was that like walking into that arena and kind of taking that first, like, all right, like this is really what it's like?
Yeah, it was something that I've been waiting a long time to experience, and that year I guess as well was a little different just because there wasn't the fans, but
Mhm.
um, I mean it was still the NCAA mats and all the stuff I'd watched as a spectator and got to experience, and yeah, it was kind of a kind of go in there that practice the day before, take it all in, and then just kind of have to clear your mind and focus on wrestling and not so much um, kind of the situation you're in. So
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, you end up falling into blood rounds, 2-2. A lot of the times, it's something that you have to go through in your career. So, from that season on, obviously you do another year, this time, same thing, head to nationals. And, what kind of things do you think you changed, to kind of put yourself at that spot where, you're kind of telling yourself, I'm going to All American?
from the past 2 years, or
Yeah,
which year are you talking?
just the past 2 years, what was it like,
Yeah.
kind of that transition you made
Okay.
either in the
Yeah.
off season or the extra
Yeah.
workouts, or what did you change to kind of put yourself as an All-American?
Gotcha. Yeah. So honestly, that first year I fell that quarters match. I actually had Ryan Deacon, the number one seed, and was winning up until the last 8 seconds, and he got a last second takedown on me on the front side. So um, between that match and my blood round match the next year against David Carr, who was also the one seed going into the tournament, um, I I lost both those matches in the last 30 seconds, getting taken down. So for me, there wasn't a big moment. I knew I was doing everything right on the mat and outside with my diet, my sleep, my weight training, all the extracurriculars that go into it. I knew I was doing the right thing, so there wasn't a huge change I had to make. Like, oh, something's not working, I got to completely stop. It was more just sticking to the process, and then within the actual wrestling room, just working more situation based things, like defending in the last 30 seconds when you're up, things like that. Um, that I kind of took into this last off season, and I worked on a lot this year heading into nationals. A lot of situation based stuff that I think really ended up paying off because I got in those situations throughout the year, and I won pretty much every one of them. So
Yeah, and I mean, definitely, and obviously, you end up taking fourth, and I'm sure it's in my opinion, it's like you All-American. It's like you're happy, but the job's not done, especially people who have, eligibility left. It's like, all right, this is great, this is nice, but you want more. And I
hmm
think, you're obviously somebody, like you said, you had two close matches with one seeds,
hmm
especially with Deacon. I remember watching that match and being like, wow, like this kid's gonna be really, really good. So obviously, the translation, happened this year. And what was that like coming back to NDSU with that nice award in your hand? What was that like with the school when you came back?
yeah, it was awesome. Like I said, we haven't had an All American since 2015, and our locker room in our facility is right across from our room. So every day I leave to go to practice, I have to walk by that All American plaque, and it really stung, not seeing my name on there, knowing that I very well could be there all these years leading up to it. up to this year. So yeah, that it feels good to finally be able to know that, my name will be there and I've earned that right. And then to make it even more special, I had a teammate alongside me that, we battled all the time throughout the year and really pushed each other, and we were able to accomplish that goal together. So that was pretty cool. And then just yeah, sharing that moment with the NDSU community. We just hosted the youth tournament at our facility this last weekend, and I was there, and our all my teammates were kind of helping out, and I was able to sign autographs and mingle with the kids and stuff, and they were pretty pumped and said they watched me on TV and all that. So I was really grateful for that, and it's kind of cool to see the impact and the impact you have on all these kids, and especially for me being from North Dakota, I was the only one at that tournament from this home state representing, so it was pretty cool to see that I made a little bit of an impact.
Yeah, and I mean, you already touched on it, but having a teammate, he's rather young, and
Mhm.
we're hoping we can get him on the show here in the next couple of days. For him, that success as well. What was that kind of like for you having somebody to, kind of keep your mental, kind of relax a little bit? You take a loss. What do you think having that teammate there definitely helped you a little bit going through the consolation rounds?
For sure. Yeah, because I mean, when you go when you lose in the quarters and you got to sit all day for that blood round match, it is a long wait, and one of the worst things you can do is start just thinking about it and just mentally taxing yourself. So being able to have him to watch, and I think he had to fight back and win like 3 matches or something before the match that we both wrestled in that round. So being able to be there and cheer him on, and just watching someone that I've battled side by side win those matches and win those positions and just mentally be superior to his opponents was definitely it helped me kind of take my mind off myself and just focus on wrestling. So
Mhm. And how many years of eligibility do you have left?
I have one more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one more. So, you got one more go at it, and I'm sure you're excited for that. But, obviously, you're basically now leaving a legacy for him to kind of carry on. You got one more season with him, and then after that, you're on your way out, and it's just, he's kind of gonna be the leader at that point.
Mhm.
So, what do you think the future is, holding for North Dakota State wrestling?
I think the future is super bright. I mean, the stuff I've seen change since I got here to now has been awesome. Our team culture's never been better, and everyone's bought in. And yeah, Mikey's the perfect kid to be able to take the or hand the torch over to and lead the group. So I'm super excited for that, and yeah, I'm super excited for next year, getting one more year with everyone, and yeah, then it's just passing it off to him and some of the other guys on the team to be leaders and make this program even better. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think all of us here hope to see, North Dakota State kind of be on that hunt for a team, for a Pac-12 team title. So I
Mhm.
think that'll be exciting for you guys as well. Um, let's get into some of the questions we have. This has been a very successful one since we started the podcast. What is your favorite wrestling shoe that you've ever worn?
Sorry, you cut out there a little bit. I
Oh,
didn't
I was
catch
I
what
was
you
gonna say
said.
I think I lost you. Are we good now?
Oh, yeah,
All
I can
right,
hear you.
perfect. All right, perfect. I said, what is your favorite wrestling shoe you've ever worn?
Honestly, I'm not a big shoe guy at all. I just kind of wear what we're given, and these Nike Inflicts that we've had this last year have probably been my favorite shoe I've wrestled or competed in. So
Mhm.
yeah.
All right, Jared, give us a little rundown. What's the day in the life? What's your diet like? What's a day in the life as a North Dakota State wrestler during the season?
During the season, yeah, usually this year we kind of transitioned a little bit um, to letting guys sleep in if it was possible. So I I woke up at a maximum only 2 mornings a week to do lifts. The other lifts we did in the afternoon, and yeah, and then we practice usually 4 days a week, one day individual, and then we compete on the weekends. But as far as diet, just eat a lot of the same proteins and carbs like rice and potatoes and chicken and beef was pretty boring diet, but that's kind of what I stuck to for me with having to lose quite a bit of weight at the beginning of the year and then maintain it. I had to be pretty disciplined in that. So
And how do you think? Because obviously that's something different that compared to a lot of the guys that we've heard. Having that lift in the afternoon instead of the morning. How do you think that? Do you think that has had a positive effect on your team this year?
yeah, I definitely do. It wasn't even so much just being obviously you're more awake in the afternoon for your lift, but more importantly, I think that the sleep we were able to get and recover from because we train pretty hard, and I mean, there's days we go lighter and there's days we go harder, and having being able to sleep in those next mornings after a hard day of training was super beneficial, especially for someone like me as year 5 and going into year 6. Like my recovery time is not what it was when I was 18, like some of these guys coming on the team. So had to be a little bit smarter with my body and do a lot of um, stuff before practice to get ready and loosened up, and then recovery stuff after as well.
Yeah, and I think we're hearing that a lot lately. The more interviews, with the higher caliber guys we've been hearing, that are these fifth or sixth years, we're starting to hear, hey, the body's starting to slow down a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
so obviously, like you said, that extra step is, pretty necessary. What do you like to do in your free time, Jared? What do you do to kind of get your mind off of wrestling and kind of deload a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a hometown boy. I like the outdoors a lot. So anytime I can go hunting or fishing with my friends or my family, I love to do that kind of stuff. And um, yeah, just hanging out with friends and family. The summers do a lot of fishing. The fall, try to get out and hunt whenever I can. I like that kind of stuff. Just be active and be outside in nature. And yeah, it definitely helps me take my mind off of wrestling.
Yeah. And another question for you. Growing up, right? Who were your top three favorite wrestlers growing up to watch?
Growing up to watch. Well, let's see. Probably, I mean, they were who was competing at the time, I guess, is what you're asking, or
Just
anybody.
anybody. Your top three favorite wrestlers of all time.
Um, I definitely liked, I guess, watching Spencer or not Spencer, David Taylor growing up in high school and stuff leading up, like the way exactly like his. So I didn't really emulate his style, but really like watching him wrestle. Jordan Burroughs, and then probably Kyle Snyder as well, just being kind of one of the first light heavyweight guys to kind of change, the weight class from what it had been. Um, I didn't watch too much wrestling when I was really young, so I didn't watch old films too much, like John Smith or the Brands brothers, people that came before. So it was more recent guys that are still competing that I watch.
Definitely. And out of those guys, if you could pick one guy, anybody, you could pick any wrestler from any date, any time period to have a match with. Who would you want to wrestle?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Um, Probably, I guess if we're going anyone, I'd probably want to wrestle one of the Russians that was super dominant. So Satiev, I think, would be a super fun field to have. Never really wrestled anyone. The weight class that, I mean, 74 kilograms, I think, is what he wrestled in. That's one of the most stacked weights all the time every year. So seeing what he did back in the day was pretty crazy. So I think, yeah, that'd be cool to wrestle someone like him.
Yeah, definitely. And rolling right into that, what are your plans for this offseason? Do you plan on doing some freestyle stuff and trying to make a move for a world team?
That's something me and my coaches are gonna kind of meet about here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, they're just giving me a little bit of time off the mat right now, and I'll come back next week probably, start working out on the mat again. Just kind of do my own workouts right now. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be doing any freestyle competitions in the next couple months. It might just be leaning towards focusing on, winning that folk style national title. So just training through that, and then yeah, all summer doing a little training cycle here with the guys and try to prepare for that. So
So, I like to ask this question often to a lot of our guys. What is your plan after wrestling? Do you think, after that, after next year, no matter what the outcome is, do you think you'll at that point you'll try to make a world team, and try to maybe take a year or two to go for it, or do you think you'll kind of just go and use the degree you got and kind of go for a job?
yeah, I guess I'm not exactly sure what my plan will be next year, but I think that with it being an Olympic year next year and uh, obviously my last year of college eligibility, if everything goes well and I'm healthy is probably the biggest thing. I might, try for that year or the following year to pursue any freestyle goals. Um, that's saying everything's good and I don't need any major surgeries or anything. See that being just be done and use my look to giving back to wrestling, or just get a normal job for a little bit and then come back and help out whenever I can. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we hear that a lot, a lot of guys, or, especially, with being able to have, this fifth and sixth year, a lot of these guys are getting a little bit older and they're kind of like, I don't know if my body can hang in there. I mean, Jordan
mhm,
Burroughs, I don't know how he still does it. He must have
yeah,
like some of the top of the line, like just everybody taking care of him because I don't know how he
yeah,
still wrestles.
yeah. I that's something me and my older teammates joke about because yeah, we're some of us, yeah, fifth, 6 year guys. It's like you're you're hanging on. I mean, some days you're just hanging on, feeling like it's not gonna hurt and stuff. So yeah, that man is something else. I don't know how he does it, but it's pretty cool that he's
Yeah.
still able to do it.
And then last question, like I said, we've asked this question all 136 episodes so far. You could take three of your North Dakota State University wrestling teammates with you into the zombie apocalypse, and you need to survive. Which three are you taking, and why are you taking them with you?
All right. Number one, Owen Pence, our 97 pounder, because he's an outdoors guy too, and he's tough. He wins, I mean, most of his matches by just being mean and tough. So having someone like that, he wouldn't care about anything. He'd take out anything in his path. So having him, my other, he's also just a really tough kid. Super, he would take him out. So he would be the second. Let's see who probably one. He can muscle his way out of a lot of things. So yeah, those are probably my top three.
Good list, good list. We've had some really crazy lists made by some people, but I think you covered a lot of the staples. And then, just finally to close it out, just a message to the kids out there. The kids, of North Dakota who might be looking up to you, or just any kid that, kind of caught on to you at the tournament. Just a message to the kids out there. Just what would you tell them what they need to do to, get to your level of success?
I'd just say work hard. I mean, that's been the recipe for me. Work hard but smart. That's been the recipe for me, and obviously that changes as I get older in college. But I've always had, a drive to be successful, and that's a little bit internally, but you also have to surround yourself with people, like-minded people that'll push you to hold you accountable in that. So hard work and yeah, just have fun with it. I mean, if you're too serious all the time, you're gonna burn out. So having fun and working hard, and then uh, yeah, just keep that internal drive going. Set your goals high. So
Yeah. I mean, great advice for the kids out there listening. But, Jared, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And again, congratulations on your All-American status from all of us here at Heavyweight Nation. It's guys like you that, keep us going as well, keep us, being able to make content and all that stuff. And, we appreciate all the guys that come on. It's been episode 136 of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. Have a good night, everyone.